Yeah, he's a pretty girl. He's a pretty girl. Oh, yeah. 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 All right. Yeah. Woo. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Veteran Idiot. Today I've got a special truck for you. This one traveled all the way across the country. Maybe lost some parts along the way, who knows? Most of it's fallen off anyways. This truck here is from Vice Grip Garage. Derek pulled this one out of a auto lot and got it running after, I think it was 12 years or so of not running, sitting and seized. There's going to be a link to that video from Derek down in the description. Check it out. Pretty interesting stuff. Today, however, along with a walkthrough and pictures and everything of this truck, of everything that I've done beforehand, wish I had videotaped a lot of it. Pretty rough stuff to get this thing back out on the road. Today, we're going to be putting on these body mounts by Energy Suspension. Stay away from the red ones. The red ones are pretty squeaky, but these black ones are good stuff. I'm also going to have the part number for this 69 Chevy C10 down in the description. Maybe we'll have some other stuff too, depending on if the steering column shows up today. Who knows? But for now, let's take a look. Now, I know what you're saying. All right, this truck looks like it just came out of Barrett-Jackson auction. It didn't. I know it looks good up close. Step back a little bit, like 50 feet. She's a little rough. Somebody went through and thought they were going to shave the molding off of these fenders, which is pretty common to do. People like it without this trim that comes on the custom cabs. But they didn't finish the job. Left some holes open, threw some Bondo in here, really didn't fill it or paint it. Mostly because it's probably just not worth it. This truck has more holes in it than the JFK conspiracy. I'm telling you. So this door obviously did not come with the truck, probably because the other one fell apart, disappeared, ended up on the road somewhere. Opens pretty well now. As you can see, there's a little lift as it closes there. This door had some issues with a hinge down here. The entire cab is missing a section down where the hinges go, and the door wouldn't seat. So I had to pull it apart, slide the hinge forward, clamp it back down on what was left of the cab to get this door to work for me. So the bed's in pretty rough shape. You can see here, most of it is flaking off. And I'm not even going to show you under the fender because you'll be able to see the ceiling. But also don't be fooled. This mat ain't covering anything. There's nothing underneath it, as evidenced by the fact that I can push through it. But she's got some potential. She's got some personality. And I think she'll do great in the long run. Went through, put some clear coat on it. Turned out pretty well. It's kind of hard to mix the top here where the rough stuff is. It left some streaks. But all in all, it turned out pretty good. Let's go ahead and pop the hood. So the story behind this truck. I'm assuming the owner took it in to get something fixed on it and couldn't get it done, couldn't afford it, whatever the case may be. But he ended up leaving it there and then eventually passing away. The truck sat in a lot for about 12 years and quite neglected. So went on Derek's show and he got it running, drove it around, and then he posted it up for sale after a couple of years. That's when my cousin found it and decided that he wanted it. So we went out and drove all the way out to Tennessee, picked up the truck, drug it out of some nasty mess in the middle of the rain, and loaded it up on a trailer, drove it all the way home. I want to go ahead and stop and say something about Derek at this time. That guy is probably one of the most down-to-earth people I have ever encountered with some sort of large following or TV show. Great to have a conversation with. Immediately asked us how we're doing, how the trip was. Just a real good dude. He even helped us load it up on the trailer. Let us know some spots we should hit in Nashville as well, which was a good time, by the way. And really glad that I made the trip out there with my wife to pick up this truck. It was a great experience. So don't judge me. There's still a lot of work to be done on this thing, and I haven't cleaned it. This sucker was seized up, and the valve covers that came on it were all deformed and leaking all over the place. Had to take the carburetor off, rebuild it, replace all the gaskets in it. Now it runs pretty good. This thing wanted 30 degrees of timing, which I thought was crazy, but I talked to a bunch of my Chevy buddies and they said that's pretty normal. You can let me know now in the comments if that's not normal. It's still needs a lot of work. The firewall is coming away from the cab. I don't know if there's any way to fix that at all. But this fan here is bent from when Derek was trying to spin the engine over with his hands. And we're going to replace that at some point later. But let's dig into these body mounts. I'm going to give you new body mounts. Hold up your cab so don't fall off or lose a passenger out on the freeway.
I'm going to give you an engine low to the ground.
Keep you real sturdy.
Extra big oil pans will cut the wind from underneath you.
I'm gonna give you new fenders so you're sleek and smooth. Ow, mother! It's time for a pause for safety. You're gonna be working on a truck that's got more holes in it than an episode of Murder, She Wrote. Make sure you wear some gloves, or at least be up to date on your tetanus shot. Am I up to date on my tetanus shot? So one of the first things we got to do to change out these body mounts is we got to undo all these existing body mounts. These bolts here, there's one there, one towards the back there, and you get them all out on one side and then over on the other side loosen them up. That way we can tilt this cab up, get these old body mounts out, put the new ones in, drop it back down, and we'll put some nuts on these, tighten them up a little bit, not completely tight, just so we have some slack. Go back over to the other side, take those nuts and bolts out, jack up that side of the cab, pull out the old bushings, put in new bushings. Well, I'm about 10 minutes into it now. I got most of it. These two over here came out nice. You can see by the floor, most of the cab probably came with it. Safety squints to the max. But this one over here, this guy up in there just doesn't want to let go of that last little tiny bit of thread. So I'm gonna figure out a way to get that sucker to stop spinning. Maybe a solid pair of vice grips or something. Keep it in there so I can spin up that last little bit. But I'm actually quite surprised. I thought it was gonna be way worse to get those out than it was. Well, got her out, but not without some collateral damage.
Idiot.
Had to put some vice grips on the top of that guy because it rounded off. Slipped out of my hand, whacked the radiator. Now I got a leaky radiator, which probably just needs replaced anyways because it looked like it was leaking to begin with. Got the body mount off. This whole side is freed up now. Now I can loosen up that side and we can keep going. All right, so the passenger side's loosened up, and I want to make it very clear that if you're taking one side off, loosen the other side. You want to take them off completely as well. You go to lift this side of the cab, whole thing will shift over and maybe land on the floor, maybe land on you, who knows. Anyway, so I got that side loosened up. Got the driver's side out, all the bolts and nuts off. Now we're going to start jacking the cab up, swap out the mounts. Alright, so we got that side in. Over on the driver's side, this is just an example of what came out of here. It's some good stuff. The washers literally fell apart. The sleeves are all rusted completely out of it. Wasn't doing much for holding the cab on. All right, body mounts are in. Just gotta tighten up the bolts. Well, before we tighten up the bolts, probably want to straighten out the cab a little bit. But straighten up the cab, line it up, and tighten up bolts, and then we're all done for this one. And just like that, body's all lined up, tightened down on both sides. Should be a much better ride now. Aside from getting a crap load of rust and dust in my eyes, my teeth, my ears, everywhere that I'm going to need to shower about 7 or 8 times to get out of, went together a whole lot easier than I thought it was going to. These back mounts came right out. Just that one up front gave me some trouble. The other side needs a little bit longer bolt with these bushings, but it went pretty well. And I'm excited about that. So, glad to have you with me. Hope to see you on the next one. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. That way I can keep doing content like this for you guys. And see you next time.